Hello everyone, this is Tina with Tiaz's Treasures, and today I have for you the June 2022 kit, July 2022 kit. Wow, yeah, it's July already, from Simon Says Stamps. Now, I took it out of the box, I put it in a mesh bag, so don't be fooled by that. I'm going to take it out here real quick so you can see what came in it. I think I already moved the candy to the side, so it's nothing missing as far as I know. And we get a bottle of Tim Holtz Foundry Wax in the gilded color, and we also get a little paintbrush if we want to use that. Put that there. We get half a pack of the Simple Stories. What is this? This is Simple Vintage Lemon Twist. I went ahead and I bought a full pack of paper because when they give us like double-sided, I hate having to choose, and this way I can still do whatever I want. I end up with way too many paper pads because of this. I'm going to have to start going through some of them and using them. So anyway, it has some really cool papers in there. If you want to take a quick look, I will show you. I like that. Be sweet, be kind, the little bees. And we have lots of bees there. Lemons. Black and white floral. Checks. It's kind of grungy checks. I mean, this stuff would fit right in with some Tim Holtz stuff. Really cool. More bees. That's really pretty. Butterflies, flowers. Black and white again. Life is good. That's kind of cool. Check again. Singer's lemon soda. Oh, that's kind of cool. Butterflies. More butterflies. And plaid. I like that. Soak up the sunshine. Little dots all over there. Distressed dots. Butterflies and more distressed dots. So I'm going to move this to the side. We have this marvelous stamp set. When life gives you lemons, I love how you make lemonade. Hello, happy birthday, you're sweet, you shine, you make life sweet. We've got a little flower box there, lemons or oranges, orange or lemon, butterflies. Oh, that's a bee. Butterfly, 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 bee. Say that quick. I think that's a little a lemon blossom and a leaf. We have some, speaking of Tim Holtz earlier, we have some Tim Holtz Ideology frames here. Now, I believe this stamp here goes perfectly with one of these frames. It's just the right size. So if you want to use that on a card. And I went ahead, and when I bought the pattern paper, I also bought dies for this set. So I just stuck them in there so I don't lose them. So I do have some dies too, so I'm cheating. I have a little emboss and cut, or this I have. Everyone who has this kit has this little emboss and cut folder. It's got this area here where it cuts out a oval, and then it's got a cute little pattern. It's a tiny little thing, so it'll fit on an A1 card, which would be about like right there. You could put it right in the center if you'd like. And then we have this like black envelope comes with our kit. A little $5 off card. We get our little inspiration sheet, and we also get a sheet of matte gold cardstock. This is the first time I got this. I think it came in another kit, but I got a substitution. So it's the first time I'm seeing their matte finish cardstock. It's still kind of shiny. Don't let it totally fool you. And then we get this bright lemon yellow sheet of paper. Oh, come on. Come on. It doesn't want to. There. And a white sheet of Nina. What is that? This is 100-pound bright yellow cardstock. I guess it doesn't have a name except for bright yellow. And Nina 110 solar white cardstock. So that is everything in this month's kit. We're gonna make some excellent cards, and we'll go from there. Now, starting off here with card number 1, I am going to be doing some stamping of this little cute window box with the florals. Now this is the only thing you do end up seeing me color, because I stamped out a whole sheet of the rest of the butterflies and the lemons and the little bee, and I stamped those all out on the other piece of Nina Solar White cardstock that I had left over after this. And if I would have left myself in coloring that, and I originally recorded it, this video, even sped up, would have been over an hour. I ended up, believe it or not, with 3 hours of footage for these 5 cards. And so I really wanted to pare it down a bit. And the way I colored the lemons, the bigger images of the lemons and the bigger images of the leaves were pretty much the same colors. And I am not that good at coloring yet. I'm getting better, I noticed, with the Copics. I do okay with my zigs. Watercolors, I'm okay with. I mean, I am not an expert at any of the mediums by no means, but I figured the more you use these things, the better you get. I don't know why I have every medium known to man. I'm just a completist and an idiot who spends too much money. So there you have it. But I did buy a lot of these Copics on eBay. And as you're going to see, one of the Copics I bought and I'm coloring on this window box is pretty dry. So I need to get a refill. And I don't know when it dried out, but it obviously didn't have a whole lot of ink to start with. The only bad thing about buying like lots of the markers on eBay is I don't know how much ink's in them, and then I'm not always sure which ones I have and which ones I need to fill gaps. And they're expensive, so I'm thinking I might just get a few more in obvious gaps that I have, but I think I have plenty, which, unlike some of my other stuff, I am not going to buy the full set of Copics. I have the full set of zigs, and I think that's enough. So you see me just kind of coloring here. I am practicing, trying to go from lightest to dark. I know there's some school of thought, I think, that goes from dark to lightest. Now, if you do that, you might not have to go over it. Most of these times I go back in when I'm done coloring with the darkest and try to blend everything out with the lightest shade. And I think it turns out fairly well. Now, I don't know what I'm going to continue talking about while this happened. I continue coloring. I suppose I could put a little bit of music over this, but I would have to go search out some. And I'm feeling a bit lazy right now. Now I do have to go later today. I've got to bring my daughter and her girlfriend some dinner and some Gatorade. The poor things, have COVID, and they both feel really, really bad, like a really bad cold, they say. So I'm gonna just drop off everything on the porch and back away and just kind of wave. And one of these cards ends up being a get well card that I'm going to be delivering. They don't watch my videos, so even if they did, I would still bring them the get well card that I made here, because I think that kind of thing cheers you up. Now, yesterday when I talked to them, only one of the girls was sick, and today my daughter's sick as well. So I might have made 2 get well cards, but I only have one. But that'll work. I mean, you only send one Christmas card, right? So yeah, some drop off a few days of dinner and some my little card that I made. Now, these cards that I made are mostly using all the Simon Says stamp items, except I did bring in some enamel dots, and I brought in a few different bee and lemon stamps for sentiments that I have from other stamp sets. I will show you the stamps that I used, and honestly, you could, if you need to just used the stamps that came in this kit. There's not a whole lot of, I don't think there's any bee sentiments in it. And I put it away so I can't look at it. And I don't think there's a whole lot of lemony puns or anything. But the pattern papers got a lot of different lemon things and different sayings that you can cut out. As a matter of fact, on one of the cards, I do fussy cut out a sentiment from the pattern paper. So I try to cover your bases here. So just because you don't have the same stamp sets doesn't mean you can't do something similar with your cards. Hopefully these are just inspiration. Now feel free to copy them exact if you want, but I don't think any of us, unless it's a card we're absolutely in love with, copy down to the exact detail. You know, I've made some cards that are pretty similar. Now, I don't show them on my videos, but I have made some similar cards that I've really fallen in love with. So I've got this piece of cardstock. This is going to be the only side folding card. The rest are opening at the bottom. They're top folding cards. And this card I did a few days ago, and then I came back and did the rest. Now, I originally thought I was going to stamp the flowers on that yellow paper, and you know, color it right there on the yellow pattern paper, but then I realized that I couldn't really put that frame over it. Now, I probably could have cut the frame down, which would have been an idea, you know, but I ended up figuring I'll just stamp the image, and I have dies for this set. I did buy dies. I think I showed you that in the intro. And so I just use my dies and cut it out, and I'm going to pop that up so it's the same height as the frame. The frame's got some good dimension going on. The only thing in retrospect I would have liked to have done is maybe try to vintage up that image. I thought about maybe blending some vintage photo over it, but I was afraid I might have to start all over again if that didn't look good, so I left well enough alone. Now here I am just figuring out my placement of that word hello, and I wanted to go right in one of these window frames, and it ends up really looking nice, I think. So I'm going to stamp that out with some VersaFine black onyx ink, and I'm going to heat emboss that with some clear embossing powder right over it. Now, like usual, I forgot to use my static tool, or anti-static tool, but because it's a clear embossing powder, it was fine. You're not really going to see that. And I did brush off a little bit of excess that I had around it. And I'm just gluing my panel right on there. It's 4 1/4 by 5 1/2. These are all A2 cards. And I am going to glue that window frame on. And right here, I'm getting ahead of myself. I use a little mask, and I'm taking some Spellbinders, well, actually, it's Fun Stamper's Journey Gold. And I don't know if this is still available or not, but any kind of gold splatter will work. And I just splattered it all over. I didn't even bother using a splatter box because I was trying to be careful. And now I'm taking some of the Distress Foundry wax that came in the kit, and I'm just putting a little bit on some of the edges of the window, trying to make it look a little distressed. And when you use this, to get it looking like real metal, you need to heat it. And it only takes, you know, just a few seconds and not very much heat to get it to turn this really pretty metallic color instead of kind of like a dullish color that it goes on with. It's the first time I'm using this, but it's beautiful, and it cleans up so easily. It just kind of turns to dust as, you know, it sits there for a bit, so it's not hard to clean up at all. And now we're just going to glue that down, and I end up a little off center because I put the frame on, I think, backwards. Now, it doesn't really matter, except one side's a little thicker than the other side, which is why my card ends up being my frame's a little bit more to the right than the left. But I don't think that really matters. I think the card still looks wonderful just the way it is. You know, not everything has to be smack dab in the center. But I am pulling in a few Spellbinders gold pearls that I end up putting off into the upper left hand side there where we've got a little bit of extra room. Now you just see me poking down the foam tape. I ended up sticking a little bit behind some places I should have had it to begin with. You know, because we don't want our little floral there to end up getting all crushed in an envelope. So here I'm just telling you I should have vintaged that up a bit. And I'm like, yeah, that should be vintage, but it wasn't. And I am going to go ahead and stamp on the inside of this card, You Shine, and I bring in just a little piece of pattern paper, and I do end up stamping a little lemon wedge on the left hand side in some Simon Hurley ink. I'm not sure the color right off the top of my head because I put it away, which is unusual for me. Now here you see me stamping down all of the images except for the window box. And I don't know, I could have cut this too because I don't show myself coloring them, but hey, I'll just show you all the images pretty much that came in this stamp set. And with these, I am stamping them with some Hero Arts Intense Black ink because it is Copic friendly. I do end up stamping it 2 or 3 times. I only show myself stamping it the once. I do also stamp that little bitty single leaf like 4 or 3 more times. One of the times I messed up, so I didn't end up coloring that, but 2 more times I was able to use a total of 3 of the leaves on my cards. As you can see there, one is not colored. I'm just going to cut them all out. I did color up some very ugly butterflies. I didn't know what colors to use. I just was getting, you know, my mind just blanked out. So here is card number 2. I love the colors on this card. And I ended up bringing in the pink and Maine stamp that says When Life Gives You Lemons, and then also Squeeze the Day. I just thought that was an ideal sentiment for this. And I could have used the lemonade stamp, but that one I used on a different card, and I didn't want to really repeat myself. I guess I could have. It didn't make much difference, but I had some other lemon stamps, so why not use the sentiment out of that? Now I've got this background, that yellow cardstock is from the kit, and this teal, kind of teal with some florals on it, of course that's from the pattern paper, and that's cut down to 5 1/4 by 4. So we've got a nice little yellow frame, and I'm going to pop up the lemons on this card. Eventually I'll pop them up. I don't know what I'm off doing right now. I should have probably edited this out, but every so often I miss a spot and don't cut down the video like I should. I was probably taking off the release paper, and if I would have gone back and cut that out, I would have probably had to start my voiceover all over because it just tends to overlap, and I'm still getting used to editing some of these videos. I'm better than I was, but not as good as I should be. So we've got our little lemon and a little lemon slice, and I'm going to stamp right onto the card When Life Gives You Lemons. Now in hindsight, I kind of wish I would have used the Misty, not because it doesn't stamp, but it could have been a little bit darker. And in the end, you know, I just leave it because I don't want to end up having to use cardstock and taping that on over this, because the sentiment doesn't look bad. Like I said, I just wish it was a little darker. And the same thing with the inside of the card. I could have used a little bit darker sentiment there. For the rest of the cards, I do end up using the Misty for the most part, I believe. But maybe not for the little lemons that I end up stamping on the inside. Those I'm not as concerned about. Now this is the citrine color from Simon Says Stamp Positively Saturated ink, and I love those inks. But I think I have enough ink now in my collection. Now I brought in some of these enamel dots. This one's from the Stamps of Life, and I also brought one in from Echo Park that I use on a lot of different cards. But this one I have these three lovely Julie, they're big enamel dots with some nice texture, and I just put the three of them on there, and I just think they're gorgeous. Now for card number 3, I took the matte gold cardstock and I cut it out of the little embossing folder, and then I took some pattern paper with those lemons and I cut out the lemons from that. I could have just cut a square and glued it behind. I don't know why I didn't, because I didn't pop up anything on there. I did pop up the lemon or the yellow card or pattern paper, and because I popped it up, I glued a piece of cardstock behind it to give it like some rigidness, to make sure that it wasn't all floppy. And we've got some of the blue dotted pattern paper for the background, and then I think I cut this piece to 5 by 3 3/4 for the yellow. And then I pop that up like I said, and then I'm just gluing down flat the little gold embossing center and this lemon that I have framed. And then as you can see, I took the sentiment from the pattern paper and I cut out Squeeze the Day. Now I did take a Copic marker and I went all around the outside so there's not a white edge on it, but you have to be careful. If you're not quick enough, that alcohol ink will soak in and you can end up like soaking through your blue letters. And now I'm just going to put a few enamel dots on here to finish this card off. There's some yellow enamel dots, and I think these enamel dots came with one of the Echo Park kits in my stash. I've got a lot of stuff in my stash I don't always get to, because when I am doing these videos I try to stay with the products that I am showcasing. I am not sponsored by anybody. This is just me doing this, so I pay for everything. And I am stamping my little lemon in there again. And that again is the citrine ink. Love that color. And I'm going to stamp on the inside from the Sentiments with the Card Kit, You Make Life Sweet. And I'm using again the VersaFine Black Onyx ink. I love that so much for sentiments, or anytime you have a like black, you want that really solid and you want it to stick really good. It's one of my favorite inks. We get that. See, I told you I was going to use the Misty a bit more, because just in case I needed to stamp more than once. Even using the Misty sometimes, though, I've been known to mess up my stamping. My inside little will move. Inside little what? I don't know. It'll move, and I double stamp. So that was card number 3. Now, 3? I don't even know. No, this is card number 3. This is the Get Well card. I don't know why in all these videos I cannot keep track of my cards. I think it's because I'm so busy talking. Now you saw there the stamp set that I used for the Get Well sentiment. Now that's just going to be on the inside of the card. So everything else came with the kit, including this yellow cardstock. This card is got a yellow base. I used it for the base of the card. And I am going to use my VersaFine ink, and this just stamps beautifully. And instead of using my, I don't know what it's called, it's like the Debbie tools, but the one I have is not, to really get that down. I'm just using my fingers because otherwise I end up shaking my table a bit much. And here I'm doing a real light tone on tone. You're not going to see it as brightly as you will, of course, on the white cardstock. But it still shows up, and I still just think it's really darling. I'm just kind of cleaning off my stamp with my chamois. That's what you're not seeing. You know, I tried to keep zoomed in, and because I'm using my iPhone, it's kind of difficult to zoom in and out. And the way I've got my iPhone set up, there's a clip on it that covers most of it, which is why also for some reason you see me working more on the left hand side of my glass mat than the right. I suppose I should just move my glass mat over because I don't use the white too often, but I don't know. So I've got this really pretty floral black and white pattern paper, and I'm just gluing down all of this, the lemons flat to the card. And I do off to the side, you can see I've got like an orange and reddish orange butterfly that I colored. I'm still not real sure of my butterfly colors. There is one butterfly that I did in a purple and teal that I didn't really like the way it ended up in the end, and it bled so much through that it's the one I don't end up using. But I end up using the little pink butterfly that I did on the last card. So here I'm just trying to adjust these to make sure that butterfly can fit right there on the top. And I'm going to glue that down. Like I said, this is all flat. And I take the sentiment, when life gives you lemons, I like how you make lemonade. I'm pretty sure that's what it says. Or I love the way you make lemonade. I should have kept the stamp set in front of me. I don't have the card in front of me either because I already signed it and put it in an envelope. All the other cards are in front of me. So that, because I couldn't stamp that right on the pattern paper being black and white and too busy, I had to put this on cardstock. And so you just see in my leftover cardstock from the little window box there, waste not, want not. Of course, I did put it right there in the middle in the worst possible position for saving paper. But I've got so many scraps of paper, and then they ended up on the floor, and I end up throwing them away. And so, I don't know. Sometimes it's like, why do I save everything? Everything doesn't need to be saved. And I end up putting this in the lower left-hand corner. I've got a little ink smudge on that I take off with my sand eraser. But yeah, I glue that down in the lower left-hand corner, which is basically the only spot there is for it, unless we want to put it on top of our lemons. But because it is such a big square, I don't think that would have worked. We could have cut apart the stamp, but I like it just the way it is. And I'm going to sparkle up that butterfly using the Spectrum Noir sparkle pen or glitter pen. I'm not sure what they're called. I should look it up one of these days because whatever it is, I'm sure I'm getting it wrong. And I take a few more of those Echo Park yellow enamel dots and I just put them right down on the card. Now, I debate putting like another one down. I've got 4 on there, which I try to use odd numbers, but anywhere I was sticking it just wasn't looking good, so I left it with 4. And that's gonna pretty much, let's see, I'm still trying to figure it out, but no matter where, I just don't personally like the way it looked anywhere else. I'm still determined to try to make it work, but no, not happening. So this is it for card number 3. Now for card number 4, or no, that had to be 4. This is card number 5. See, I told you I get messed up somewhere. 1, 2, 3. Yep. I can't count to save my life. You think counting to 5 would be easy, but not for me. So I'm taking a piece of pink cardstock that was in my stash and using some guava ink from Simon Says Stamp, positively saturated ink. I am just kind of stamping that all over to make it look like a tone-on-tone pattern paper. I thought we needed a little something extra. And I've got this bee pattern paper that is measured. What is it measured? I think it's measured 3 by 4 1/4. And I am just putting my last few images down. I've got the little pink lemon blossom, my bee, and a pink butterfly. And I've got the sentiment Sweet as Can Be, and that's from Hedgehog Hollow. And we're just going to glue that down flat. We've got everything on this card is flat except for our butterfly. We did pop up the wings on that. We're going to glue that bee paper right in the center. And we're going to first glue our cherry blossom down. Well, after we attach everything to a card base, I think. Unless we decorate the inside of the card first. I never know. You would think I would remember, but my memory's been shot for some years now. I think it's because I don't work outside the home. So, I mean, not that I don't do a whole lot except my crafting. So my memory is not as good as it used to be. I need to do some more word puzzles and, talk to anyone besides my dogs. They don't care if my memory's gone. They like me just the way I am. They like it when I can't remember that I said no more treats. So I stamp Sweet as Can Be on the bottom of this card directly onto the pink cardstock. And I do end up doing the inside while I've got my Misty out. I go ahead and I use Happy Birthday, and I am going to stamp a little bee in the corner as well. And the bee I stamp using the citrine ink. I thought about doing it in black, but I think doing them all in a monotone color is cute sometimes. And I like the little yellow bee. See, there it is, right in the corner. I love that little bee. It's so cute. Looks like a little fat bumblebee. I'm still in awe that I can't remember 5 cards. It's like, really? Go get my head examined. Now this card, as I was making it, all of a sudden I ran out of space on my iPhone. And I thought I lost most of the footage of this card, except for like the very beginning. But when I was editing, I got right to the end of making this card, and other than putting my enamel dots on it, and it cuts out there. So I got more footage than I thought of this card. So you get to see me glue down everything and put it in where I want it to go. And I end up putting the bee, the flower, and the butterfly kind of all in a row diagonally from the upper left to the lower right. And I didn't want to leave it just like that, so the enamel dots kind of go in the opposite direction. See, that's what I was talking about. It just kind of cuts out right there. So I've got my little 5 enamel dots, 3 and 2, and then I sparkled up the butterfly, the bee's wings, and the center of the flower. And I do like the way I've got my 3 enamel dots in the upper right hand corner and 2 in the lower left hand corner, which is kind of my favorite configuration. And so now here are the 5 cards. That's card number 1. And I slowed everything down enough so you can actually get a good look at these cards. So I am so glad you stopped by. If you like this video, please hit the thumbs up and or subscribe. I kind of messed up my my YouTube algorithm here, when I took like a few weeks to drop another video, it doesn't like when you do that. So I'm going to try to be putting out a little bit more content, because I really do love to see how many people are viewing these videos. It makes me happy. And, you know, I love y'all. Even I love my new subscribers. I love my older subscribers. And I am so just pleased when you're here. So please let me know what you think about these cards. Let me know which one's your favorite. And I love you all. I probably said that. I'm rambling again. My brain, remember? We told you about my brain not being all there. So bye-bye for now.